with Hashem's loving grace. Welcome to Amunah Beams with your host, Laser Brody. Today, we're talking about the balance of right and left. The proper balance between right and left is the key to not only the health of a person's body, but a person's soul and a person's nations. The health of the nation depends on the proper balance between right and left. Now, what happens with the body? If the right side is stronger or the left side is stronger, what can happen is that the posture goes askew. You get spine curvature. In spinal curvature, a person has more difficulty breathing and a person has more difficulty digesting his food. It affects the digestion when a person doesn't have good posture. A person doesn't have good posture and he's not aligned and not straight. He or she's not aligned and straight. Therefore, we do exercise, and when we analyze, a trainer analyzes his client, sees if one side of the body is stronger, and then he works to strengthen the weak side of the body so that the weak side of the body and the strong side of the body, they become equivalent. As they become equivalent, posture is better. They become more aligned. They stand up straight. They breathe better. They digest their food better. Their gait and walking is much better, and they're much stronger. Now, the same thing goes with the soul. A soul needs a balance of chesed and gevura. Chesed, compassion, that's the right side, and gevura, the stiff side. There are times, like King Solomon tells us in Ecclesiastes, where time we have to make peace and time we have to have war. There's time for compassion. There's time for stern judgment. We meet the balance of the two. So in Kabbalah, the compassion is called the right side. Stern judgment is called the left side. We have to keep this perfect balance. This is so important, the balance of a nation. Anytime you don't have a balance between right and left, then the nation is unbalanced. And what can happen is the strong side could take advantage. The strong side could trample the weak side. That's why in a democracy, you have majority rule and minority rights. The majority, even though it rules, it can't trample the minority. And that's the way to keep the right and left balance, because if one side becomes too strong, it can become totalitarian. Now, when the right side becomes totalitarian, it becomes fascist. And fascist totalitarianism is no good. When the left side becomes too strong, it becomes socialist, communist totalitarianism. That's not good either. So we need to keep a balance of moderate right and moderate left. Where do we see a historical precedent of moderate right and moderate left? We see this with Hillel and Shammai. Hillel and Shammai, if we could talk and translate the Mishnah and translate our Talmud into modern political terms, we could say that Hillel was left. He was a compassionate side and more liberal. And Shammai was very stern, was more conservative, more stringent. But yet, Hillel and Shammai, they had tremendous respect for one another. When they would argue, they'd argue about everything. They disagreed on everything. But when they would argue, Hillel would not make his statement until he said to Shammai, he said, Shammai, this is the way you think, right? A, B, C, and D. Okay, Shammai says, yes, that's right. Or else, if Hillel misinterpreted or misconstrued Shammai, Shammai would correct him. But before Hillel expressed his opinion, he made sure that he understood Shammai's opinion. Now, Hillel and Shammai loved each other so much that their children married one another, and they were brothers. They're perfect friends. But the Gemara tells us what happened. It happened with their students that didn't underserve. They didn't learn enough from their teachers. And they didn't learn the brotherly love that Hillel and Shammai had for each other. They learned the academics, and they become rabble-rousers, the rabble-rouser students. So this mutual love and respect already got lost in the next generation, the first generation of the students of Hillel and Shammai, because the Gemara tells us in the beginning, there was no such thing as an argument, but there were disagreements, okay, but they came out with a mutual halacha. They came up with a halacha. And then after they left the earth, the second generation, then it turned to argument. Okay, so what we have to do is one of our corrections in Avos Yisrael, it's a correction throughout the generation of loving one another, is to get back to this moderation of right and left. Now, we see this happening right now in the land of Israel. And if I would suggest to the president of Israel, who's now hosting the parties and speaking to them, that a party, let the right and left, let them write a position paper, and everyone must read everyone else's position paper. But before you orally express your position, you have to make sure that you can say over the position paper of the opponent party. So first of all, learn the side of the other side's position, be able to express it, then say your own position. The same system, I use the same system in coaching warring couples. When I ask a husband or wife, not what you think or what would you think. First, ask them, what's the complaint of your spouse? What's your spouse complaining about? No, but Rabbi, no, tell me what your spouse complaining about. So first, see if they understand what their spouse thinks. Whenever you have a disagreement, this goes with any interpersonal relationship. When you have a disagreement with the other side, first understand the other side. Now, if the right and the left can understand this simple point, first we understand the other side, and then we express our point, and then we try to convince. When there's a gap in these two opinions, we try to convince, and that way get to a peaceful solution. That is a Shammai Hillel solution, and that will bring us to a national balance. What happens? We have a national balance, then Hashem will have compassion on us, and we'll begin loving each other, loving our neighbors, loving ourselves, and Hashem will rebuild our holy temple that was destroyed because of needless hate, intramural hate. But we turn it completely around and have intramural love and understanding. This will certainly bring the full redemption to our people. The Gemara tells us in Nisan, the month of Pesach, this is the month of redemption. So now is the time. So let's do everything we can to make peace with our fellow man, make peace with the other party, and stop all the needless dissension. It's okay to disagree, but understand why we disagree and respect the other person's position. That's the moderation, mutual respect. Mutual respect, that's the key word. So take care, and God bless for a wonderful, wonderful Pesach. And join us for Moon Hour for the story of Passover, and it'll make you a much, much more meaningful Seder table. We look forward to seeing you. Take care, and God bless.